I get here? From side hustle to full-time. My name is Sean Jorgensen. I'm a freelance photographer, videographer, and content creator based in Las Vegas, Nevada. Pursuing photography full-time. How did I get here? First, we need to go back a decade or so ago. 18-year-old Sean, fresh out of high school. My neighbor calls me up and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" I responded, "Just chilling." Why? Literally 2 weeks after graduating high school. No. What are your plans? You just graduated high school. What are you going to do? I again responded, see, at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do for a job, for a career. Initially, I wanted to go to art school. I liked drawing. Once I realized the price of the art institute, that kind of really persuaded me to maybe I should really hone in or figure out what I want to do, because just liking to draw and doodle and not really having a path in that, I didn't know if I wanted to be a graphic designer or a cartoon designer. I just liked to doodle. I showed the lady at the interview my sketchbook, and I knew as soon as I showed her the sketchbook, I'm wasting both of our times. I don't know what I want to do. And now we're back to the phone call with my neighbor. And so he goes, "Well, why don't you come work for me? I could use a helper." He was an electrician. He ran his own business. So it was just him and his partner. Perfect fit to have a young 18, 19-year-old helper doing grunt work, getting tools and whatnot, and also learning a trade. From 18 years old to 30, I stuck with it. I was an electrician. I got certifications in Southern California and then later Nevada, and I was set. That was it. I figured, here's my career path. Here's something I love. Here's something I'm good at. I'm going to be an electrician forever. That's okay with me. Nothing wrong with that. It's a respected trade and a trade that pays really well. I was very passionate about it. I loved what I did, and I could work anywhere. Photography was always a side hustle. Actually, let's back up. Before it was a side hustle, it was just something I did on the side, a hobby I got into, photographing friends, portraits of whoever's willing to get in front of the camera, nature, graffiti, abandoned buildings, shit like that everyone kind of starts out in. So it was just a hobby for me. It was always a dream of mine to become full-time and to be able to say that I, do photography for a living. It just wasn't a realistic game plan at the time. The more I moved up in my electrical career, the harder the gap got to bridge. The more money I made and the more certifications I got, working overtime and 4 or 5K a month, looking at what I made with photography, which was realistically $300 a month. That gap was always too far to bridge. Things didn't really start to get more serious for me until I moved to Vegas. I started to get into event photography, nightlife photography, and just started meeting more and more people that did need photo and video services. Well, actually, at the time, I didn't do video. So meeting more and more people that needed photo services, just starting to build up a network and experience in these different markets. Also, living in Vegas, it is a really, really good city to be in this industry, photo and video. So many people come to Vegas, whether personally, also conventions happen here. A lot of businesses come here, whether it's conventions or work parties, sales meetings, and a lot of things happen in Vegas. Store openings, sports related stuff, events, a really, really good city for things coming to you. Over the last handful of years, I also started to shoot micro weddings and elopements, basically casting the biggest net I possibly could without being in any given field. At least very, very comfortable in a number of genres. And I was still in construction. I would take anything and everything. And I mean any gig, every gig, even if it paid shit, even if it was a nightmare client, even if it wasn't glamorous, I did it all just to get my reps in, to make a little bit of money, and then also eventually gauge, okay, how much am I making per month, per week on the side? I needed a good baseline to kind of see, okay, outside of my construction, this is how much I'm able to make. Okay, cool. This is realistic. Or dude, you made $300 this month. Like there's no way. A lot of middleman websites or platforms are great for supplemental income. Or if you're just starting out, there is a number of things that I remember using to help facilitate. Thumbtack, Snapper, Gig Salad, those sites were great because people would go on those platforms looking for family portraits. My kid's soccer game this weekend. Those platforms took a percentage or took a fee, so you didn't make a ton of money in a way, or like a manager. Yes, they're taking a percentage, but they're also helping facilitate you getting in front of those clients or being able to just connect with those clients that need your services. Food shoots for restaurants like DoorDash. I think I remember doing shoots $60 to photograph 10 dishes, which is really low, obviously, but the deliverables were really simple. It was literally just all the plates and drinks were on a white backdrop, and it was just a shot of the plated food for the menu item. I don't even think you did edit them. I delivered the raw images to the platform. You got to start somewhere. You got to supplement somewhere. Those were some things that I remember taking on. A lot of this stuff is not the most glamorous, but it's a great way to get those reps in, as well as build familiarity and being comfortable shooting various situations and categories. Getting to the point, how did I get here? Full-time photographer, videographer, working for myself. Well, a main turning point for me, it was getting too much to juggle all of the things. Working construction, waking up at 4:30 a.m., making my lunch for the day, lacing up my work boots, Thorogood if you must know, shooting whatever gig I could, sometimes shooting the nightclub at 12 a.m. to 2 a.m., and then having to edit the same night, wake up at 4 a.m., and then do it all over again. It just got to a point where I couldn't work my full-time construction job, gigs on the side, then edit on the side, spend time with my wife, nurture that relationship. We all need to rest. We all need days where we just chill, do nothing. All of that stuff just kind of got to a turning point for me where it was shit or get off the pot. I chose to shit. I think that's a saying, right? How come no one ever follows it up? I had to put my 2 weeks in at this private company here called GSL Electric, one of the best companies I've worked for. They kept me busy for 5 years here in Vegas. It was time for me to leave the private world and join the union. At the time, a lot of coworkers and close friends had went union. Union had paid $15 more than the private companies. For me, it's time to try the union route. I was going through that process, putting in my 2 weeks at GSL Electric to then join the union. It was in that transitional period where I started to change my mindset and go, well, if I'm already quitting this job to then try the union, what if I just tried to see if I could do photography full-time until then? Maybe I could do it for a month. Maybe I could do it for 3 months. Maybe I could do it for 6 months. My mind shifted and I was like, all right, I'm putting in my 2 weeks and I'm going to see how long this photography thing could last. I had 2 safety nets in place. I always had electrical I could fall back on. I could take a job with the union. I could pick up a call. 2, I want to say like $6,000 in savings as a safety net in case it didn't work out. I do have a wife and a mortgage, so I do need to be responsible. Luckily, still here. It's been 4.5 years now. September 18, 2020 was my last day working construction, working for someone else. I am very fortunate that I haven't had to go back to construction. The internet will tell you, just go for it. Chase your dreams. You could absolutely live that way. You could live spontaneous. You could do what these people on the internet say and all of that, and maybe it works out. But I don't recommend that. My 2 cents would be have a safety net, have a few months saved up if you are pursuing your craft. Rule of thumb, someone once told me was have 6 months to a year saved up of all your bills. Obviously, that's a little bit easier said than done. At the very least, have a realistic cushion. I myself only had about 3 months at the time. On one hand, yes, chase your dreams, but don't take it for face value and you saw some video online, some idiot is saying, just quit. Also, don't burn bridges. On the subject of quitting, one is manifesting, right? I wanted to start to tell people I'm quitting to pursue my passion, photography. People around you are a lot more supportive when they see you chasing that thing that you're passionate about. Being freelance, how does somebody sustain it? How do you sustain not necessarily knowing when that next paycheck or that invoice is going to hit, when that next gig is going to come in? A few key things in my personal experience. Bigger projects, 3 to 4 day conventions, help pay the bills if you can get them. Elopements and weddings may be high stress, but they also do pay really well. Networking and having the work to back it up. Having a solid network is crucial. Whether a colleague is out of town, is not available for that gig, so they alley-oop it your way, or they don't live where you're from. You have a friend that lives in LA. Hey, so-and-so is looking for a videographer, photographer in Vegas. I sent them your info. If you're looking at every photographer or videographer, whoever in your realm, as competition, you're not going to go far. Point blank, you are not going to go far. It's going to be very lonely. Now, I understand there is a place and time. There is a layer of competition, right? If I'm shooting a gig, I do want to be the best that I can be, and I do want to outshoot everyone and have clients looking at their work versus my work and be like, we need to go with that person. That's different. Having a solid network of people you trust and you can also alley-oop, right? It's a two-way street. If I'm not available for something, if there's something a little bit more geared towards colleagues' experience, their wheelhouse, hit up that person, dude. They are the perfect person for that job. And it's going to come back to you as well. Everyone wins. Everyone gets to eat. If you have some outdated mindset of, I'm better than everyone and fuck, good luck to you. Media agencies and production companies. The bigger shoots that are primarily video, but they need a stills photographer for. Media agencies having a client or project in your city. This category is great because these clients most likely are going to come to you. They're going to find you. It's very rare that you're going to stumble across a media agency or production company and then be like, hey, this is what I do, hire me. Probably not going to happen. More so, it's the other way around where they're like, hey, we have a project in Vegas. We have a client in Vegas. We need A, B, and C. That's a good part. Work coming to you. Most of the time, if you also struggle with budget, certain projects, you're like, I don't know how to price this. I don't know how to figure it out. It's not like a flat day rate type of thing. These situations are great because they usually have a budget already. So you could say, hey, what is your budget for this project? Or what is a budget you would like to stay around? And they'll tell you, this is what we have. Cool. If it works for you and you're available, take it. If not, hey, sorry I'm not available, or it's a little bit below my usual rate. Keep me in mind for future things. Establishing all the back end stuff until it gets to you. Mood boards, creative decks, Zoom calls, meetings with all of the key players in this, client, agency. They facilitate all that. You jump on a Zoom call, you handle a meeting, you understand the project, boom, you show up to the shoot and you crush it. Repeat client. This one is actually trickier than it may seem. You can have a connection with somebody, point of contact. Just say your point of contact with whoever in marketing. They love your work. You love working with them. Everything is kosher. Well, then they leave that company or they go to a different department. A lot of times your connection or your name gets lost in the ether. Someone else comes in or they're like, oh, well, we need a photographer, a videographer. Who do we have? It may not always translate from Ashley, who used to work at that department. Now Ashley's moved on and works somewhere else. So the other people worked in her department may not know who you are. People have a short attention span. We know that. So they may have used you multiple times and they love you. But then sometimes they're like, oh my God, we have a last minute thing this weekend. Who do we know? And then somebody else chimes in, oh, hit up this person. It's trickier than you would think. Hold on to those clients and relationships. But again, if you can get repeat clients or at least a handful of them who use you time and time again, that is great. Build those connections with that client. Ashley leaves that department and goes somewhere else. Boom, Ashley at her new job is like, I have this great person who I've worked with for X, Y, and Z. Let's get them into the system. Searchability, the internet. Sometimes people don't always know a reliable source or connection in your city. They may not know, hey, we have this event coming up in Vegas. Who do we know in Vegas? They go online, they go on Instagram, they go on TikTok, YouTube, Google, Pinterest. A huge battle with any business is being seen. Since we don't have a brick and mortar, we're not going to get physical foot traffic. We're not going to get somebody walking by to see this sign or this cool storefront and go, Sean Jorg Photography, that's cool. I want to hire them. No, we're not a furniture store. We don't have that luxury of somebody walking by one day and stumbling upon us and then being like, oh, wow, I'm glad I found this. We need to use the internet and all of its resources to really help us be seen. Adaptability. For me, always learning new things or adding them to the toolbox, photo, video, even editing gigs. You never know when these assets are going to come in handy. If you can approach something or open whoever's eyes to your thing and make yourself more diverse, go for it. If you need photo, need video, shoot film, whatever it is to kind of set yourself apart from other people in your lane. I recently had a client who I do a lot of work for tell me, you're an absolute weapon. I really took that compliment to heart in like a very high regard. Damn, man, this person's right. I am a weapon. On one of my other videos where I said being freelance is a lot like being a hitman. And some of those things I talk about in that video where you line them up, I'll knock them down type shit. Fly here, handle this, or hey, we're sending you product. Here's what we're looking for. Boom, knock it out. Everyone's happy. That's like one of the highest compliments. You're a weapon. You can do photo, you can do video, you can edit, add more tools to your toolbox. Learn it. F it up. Try again. Well, don't f it up if someone's paying you. You know what I mean? The journey hasn't always been easy for me. It has taken a long time and a lot of reps to get to where I'm at. And now I can proudly say it's been worth it. The hard work, the ups and downs, the daydreaming. I get to wake up every single day doing what I'm passionate about. My camera's overheating, so I gotta wrap this up. It's always good to reflect and see how far you've come. Keep going. If you have any questions or similar experiences, let me know. I'm always here to chat. I'm always here to give back to my younger self, to you, to anyone that has a question, advice. I'm only a comment away. As always, thank you guys. Cheers.